Hello everybody, welcome to my new video. The idea for this latest post originated from a curl command, specifically a batchload endpoint. I have a CSV and I wanted to upload that to update a table in my database. And I thought there's got to be a way for me to be able to automate this. This got me down this rabbit hole of researching automation on Mac and seeing how I could combine that with the ORDS REST APIs. I got it to work. I have a CSV, I drop it into a folder, and that triggers off a workflow, an automation workflow. And within that workflow is a curl command. That curl command issues a post request or a batch load to an Oracle REST API endpoint. And once it processes, it provides the user with feedback. I'm not an expert in any of this, but I thought maybe somebody else can take this and just kind of run with it and maybe create something even cooler, you know. But recently I've been doing a lot with Podman, so I thought I would modify this somewhat and show you an example of how I did everything with Podman containers and locally. But let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to log into my terminal here. All right, so the first thing I'll do is start my, learn how to spell properly, start my Podman machine, and we'll wait for the Linux virtual machine to start. This is like back in the day when videos would buffer. I think some people might not even know what that means, but okay, so my machine is started. So I already have that container, so I want to start the container, and it's called ENTDB213, Enterprise Database 2013. That's the version that I have here. And then I can check the process to see what's happening with the database. I also installed ORDS locally or on my Mac. Well, technically I installed it in the database in my container. ORDS is going to enable me to issue those REST methods or operations, and ORDS is kind of the intermediary between myself and the database across HTTP. My database is healthy. You know, I could log into SQL right now if I wanted to, but I want to show you how to do this through database actions, aka SQL Developer Web. And I configured all this when I installed ORDS a couple of weeks ago, so I can log in using my browser. But I need to start ORDS with the ORDS serve command, which will launch ORDS in standalone mode. Should get a initialization prompt here that Oracle REST Data Service has been initialized. So that's what we're looking for right there. Okay, so I can minimize this for a second here and head over to my browser, and I will log on to SQL Developer Web, and I created an ORDS test user for this purpose here. This will load the database actions launchpad, which is what you'll see right here. I'm going to go to the SQL worksheet and show you the table that we're going to be doing all this, you know, automation with. So it's the bank transfers table. So let me simulate what the heck I'm about to do, or what I'm going to be showing you here. I want this curl command. The one that I want is batchload. This is the one that we'll use for when you're loading like an entire CSV. And I want to choose bash. I can copy this whole thing here, and I'll just post it in a text editor. This is just VS Code. This is the curl command here. I'll just give some space so we can see here. Just need to change this to text CSV. And then this file name here, we're going to be using this file right here. So bnkxfr.csv, and then that's our API for this batch load here. Simulating what I'm doing is here. So I have my terminal. I will just go ahead and CD to the desktop. That way I can just use the file name and not the whole like file path. And then I'll list, and so that's it right there, right? So now that we're here, we know that this curl command knows where to look for this guy right here. As soon as I hit enter, what's going to happen is this is going to kick off this curl command to my container, right? Which would simulate like a curl command that you could remotely issue to like a database somewhere. And here we go. We see that we successfully processed 22 rows. There's no errors. I could do one of two things. I could log into SQL CL and I could show you a table in SQL CL, or I could just kind of hop on over to the SQL worksheet here. If everything worked, I should only see 22 rows in here. There you go. That's kind of where this idea was born from. I was just doing this curl command, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I could just drag the CSV directly into a folder and let it do its thing in the background, you know, and then maybe take this message here and put that into like a notification for the user. Let's do this. Let me go ahead and delete from the table here, so that way we have a clean table. Okay. What I want to do is show you, right, Automator on your Mac. I'm going to open up this new file. Since I'm going to be working with folders, I want to choose folder action. Okay. Now, full disclaimer here, I'm not an expert in this. I just kind of stack overflowed, stack exchange the hell out of this to try and figure out how to get all this stuff working. So if you're familiar with Automator or you're familiar with shell scripts, which there's a little piece in here, this is going to be like elementary school for you. But let me just walk through how I did this. So you could, one of two things, you can create the folder, have it created already, or you can just create the folder in here. So I'll just call it ords batchload. That way I can differentiate, because that's actually what it is. Now everything that we do in this workflow is going to be associated with this ords batchload folder that we just created. The first thing that we need to do is tell the Finder application. So, you know, Finder is, you know, on your desktop when you're looking for stuff, right? Tell your Finder application to go to this folder here. So we want to, I'll expand this. If you can take a look at the left side where it says library, we want to scroll down to files and folders. The one that you want is specified, because you actually need to identify the thing, which is this. This is the thing. The thing is the folder, right? The thing is the thing. So we're saying Finder, go to that folder and then go inside that folder. Cool. Now that we're there, we're going to say, get the stuff that's in that folder, which is folder contents, right? So go to the folder, get the stuff that's in the folder. Cool. All right. Now, what are we going to do with that stuff that's in the folder? This is where the shell script comes in. So we go to utilities and we're going to say, all right, in this workflow, we're going to run a shell script. Now the default on Mac is this bin zsh. Okay. And again, this probably took a day and a half, I don't know, for me to figure out that this is actually very important. So the input is going to be the stuff from the folder contents. So we want to say, take the files and the stuff in the files, take those as arguments. And then Automator just gives you this generic for loop. These are parameter expansions. I got to be honest with you. It was a lot of trial and error for me to get this to work the way it did. I'll leave the ZSH manual, and it talks all about parameter expansions, but there's like a use case for everything in there. I realized that you can get rid of this echo because Automator returns everything automatically. So if you do like this echo, it'll do the return of any like comments from the terminal, plus it'll just repeat it. So you'll get like redundant information. So you can get rid of this here. So I already have this typed out. So I took the curl command, I added an additional bits of information with this W variable here, which is write out. There's a ton of information that you can request from the server, and I just added this in here. But you could actually just keep it pretty bare bones like this. And then the only thing you're going to get is whatever ords returns to you. So I just wanted a little bit of information just to show you that you could provide a user with a lot of feedback if you wanted to. So I'll bring this over here, and then I'm going to put it in this for loop. So we're saying for the stuff that is in the CSV file, do the following, which happens to be a curl command. Again, this is another parameter expansion. It's basically just saying the contents of the file is the data that we want. That's done. For loop, simple curl command. Again, when I first started putting this together, it did not work. It did not look like this. This is probably like the 15th or 20th iteration of me running through this to get it to work. Okay. So I don't want this to be misconstrued as me knowing what the hell I'm doing. So we run this shell script, and then we're going to get some information back, hopefully that everything was processed. So the way Automator works is we need to put that response into a variable. So we go to set value of variable, right here. And basically that's just going to say, turn that response into a variable. It's like we're doing some programming here, but it's all GUI based. So we want a new variable, and we're going to call it curl response. And you have a little window down here where you can switch between the variables that you have and then whatever the log is. So like when we test this output, there'll be a whole bunch of information down here. Now the next thing we need to do is we just take that variable, take all that information that's in that variable, it's stored in that variable, and we're going to display that as a notification. So you can start typing curl response, or you can just drag it here like this. I left the title and the subtitle blank. We don't really need that. And now that's pretty much it. So what I'll do here, because we want to expand this, because when this runs, you want to be able to see what's happening here. And then reduce this. So we'll go ahead and save it. I'll save this as, or it's batchload post. We'll make sure that the focus, right? So we get all of our notifications. Bring this over here. All right, so I think when we drag this in here, this is already set up, so should work. Okay, so there we go. So this is good. We like this. And then if you click this caret here, it not only gives you the stuff that comes from ORDs, right? But it also gives you, the, let me run this again. So now it's in here, I can test this. I can just run this, right? And it gives you all the other information that I asked for in the curl command here. So if I click results, you can see all the information that it gives you right here. That stuff is what is being assigned to curl response, or vice versa. And then that is taken over to this display notification module, and that's what we see here. So that's it. Before I exit out of here, I want to just show one more thing. So this is saved, right? So we know this works. We can exit out of here. I can go to the folder actions setup. I can take a look at the folders that have actions attached to them. And because I did everything at the onset associated with this batchload, or this ords_batchloader folder, it takes that script and it basically adds it to folder actions for this folder. I can add more if I want to. Here are some test ones that I did down here. You can also edit the workflow. All right, that was just one of many asides that I wanted to share. Oh, let me just show you. So if we go over here, I've done this, I don't know how many times have we done it now. So we'll just run like select. So we've got these 66 rows in here. So there are a few times that I ran this. So yeah, everything was done locally. Podman container. If you're looking for another way to play around with ORDs and Podman, check out this blog. I will leave all the code and the workflow and everything, and then a link to my GitHub repo as well. Hey, and if you like this, drop a message below. If you want to see something else with Podman and ORDs, let me know. I'm really excited that I actually got this to work. I didn't think that I would. I mean, I never think that I'm gonna get anything to work. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.